Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Japan Gold update at the Red Cloud Pre-PDAC 2023 mining conference. I wanted to talk a little bit about Japan and, first of all, just why it's an ideal destination to make a discovery. The islands of Japan sit above tectonic plates that intersect. You've got lots of volcanic activity. You've got lots of faulting. And so all of these elements create pathways for mineral-rich fluids that are deeper in the earth to flow up towards the surface, concentrate the precious metals, and deposit them. And so there's been a wonderful history of high-grade gold mining in Japan starting in the 1500s. It was interrupted in 1943 by the government moratorium that closed all gold mines. So since the Second World War in 1943, when that moratorium came in place, there is a dearth of exploration. There's been almost no modern exploration to date. So it's got this rich history of high-grade gold mining, but it's being vastly underexplored. And so we think that this is the ideal destination for you to consider. I will be making some forward-looking statements as I go through a few comments here. The investor rationale that I always talk about is with that backdrop of Japan, we are the first mover to go back into Japan to restart the gold mining industry. The mining law was changed the Mining Act was changed in 2012, and we were the first mover to go there at that time and really had Japan to ourselves for 4.5 years, which allowed us time to study the historic mines and to assist in creating the permitting process that is active and robust today. Since the Second World War, there's only been one discovery of a new mine, and it wasn't made by a Japanese mining company because none of them had mandates to explore after the war. But the government itself, the Metal Mining Agency of Japan, somewhat accidentally discovered the Hishikari mine on the southern island of Kyushu in 1981. The Hishikari mine, for those of you that don't know, is one of the highest grade Tier 1 gold mines in the world. It's a 13 million ounce ore body that's already produced 8 million ounces at between 30 and 40 grams per ton and has significant reserves remaining. And it's a wonderful comparison for what we're looking for because it's called a low sulfidation epithermal gold mine, which simply means that it's quartz veins that are about 0.5 meter wide to about 3+ meters wide that have gold and silver and alluvium in them. And all the projects that we're looking at and prospects within are low sulfidation epithermal gold opportunities. We've been very fortunate to acquire now a large array of projects across the country, and we've been able to attract the two largest gold miners in the world, Barrick and Newmont, to be our partners in Japan. We've got very significant shareholders. Some of the biggest institutions in the world are large shareholders of Japan Gold, and we've assembled an operational team that's very robust and very active all the way through to our drilling division. So we have 32 projects in Japan. Just recently we updated that we acquired our 32nd project. Now the 32 projects that we have in Japan are really broken down into 3 different pillars of our business operations. And so I'll take you through those 3 pillars now. So the first is that we have a countrywide alliance with Barrick, where Barrick has just completed the evaluation of 29 projects to the Barrick standard and fully funded that evaluation of the 29 projects. We evaluated the projects with geochemistry and geophysics in order to determine areas that Barrick would find would have the potential to host a Tier 1 or a Tier 2 ore body. A Tier 1 ore body being 5 million ounces or greater, and a Tier 2 ore body being 3 million ounces or greater, and both with significant production profiles. So we were very, very excited when, after 2.5 years, which was the timeline that we ultimately set for Barrick, they selected 6 of our 29 projects with the potential for Tier 1 or Tier 2 ore bodies. And so they had spent $9.1 million evaluating those 29 projects, and we now move into the next phase of our business. So with Barrick, we have 6 projects that are now advancing that they have to fully fund, and they can only earn an interest in a project when they complete at their cost a pre-feasibility study, which gets them 51%. And then when they go on to complete a bankable feasibility study, that gets them to 75%. And we end up retaining a 25% interest in the project at that point going forward. So that's a wonderful position for us to be in, to be carried by Barrick. In addition to those 6 projects, Barrick also identified another significant area of Japan that they thought held potential. And so about a month ago, we announced that we had acquired that 32nd project. And it's one of our largest projects. It's almost 480 square kilometers. And we're delighted that we have that now and are looking forward to evaluating that project also with Barrick. So as we move forward with our projects in the islands of Japan, 3 of our projects are located in the northern island of Hokkaido. 1 project is in the central island of Honshu, and 2 are in the southern island of Kyushu, and are in the district, and 1 is adjacent to the Hishikari gold mine that I mentioned. To go to that southern district and the most prolific gold-producing area of southern Japan, this is a map that highlights the district. It's called the Hokusatsu district. And what you can see on this slide is in red, well, first of all, in black is the outline of the Sumitomo metal mining footprint, which hosts the Hishikari gold mine. You can see the mine marker in the center. And then in red are the 2 projects that Barrick has selected with that potential to host a Tier 1 or Tier 2 ore body. And then in green are other projects that Barrick evaluated, but they didn't advance. And finally, in light blue, there's another element of our business, which is 2 projects that are outside the Barrick Alliance that Newmont technically supports, but which we fund. I'm delighted to tell you today that Barrick has just commenced, or we have just commenced on behalf of the Barrick Alliance, our first drilling program for the Barrick Alliance on the project called the Mazobe project, which is the southeast red outline project you can see on the slide. This first drill program is a simple drill program. We're going to drill 3 500-meter drill holes into targets that Barrick has selected, and we'll send those assays, the drill core off to the lab for assaying, and again, continue on with other projects and prospects within the Barrick Alliance portfolio. But this is really an inflection point in terms of our company and the Barrick Alliance to move from geochemistry and geophysics into the drilling program. The second pillar of our business is the 23 projects Barrick didn't advance. We have a very robust and prospective portfolio of projects that, while they may not have met Barrick's criterion, we think hold great promise. And so following Barrick's decision, we prepared summary reports on each of the 23 projects that effectively delineated historic work that had been done on those projects, that talked about the Barrick work that had been done, that's our information to keep, and then our recommendations on how to go forward. And we now have a number of interested global mining parties that are looking at our portfolio and considering how they might be able to come in and be our new partner in those projects. And so it's a really exciting time for us. Other things that we're considering are, should we keep some of those projects for ourselves and solely fund those and advance those? And then there's always the alternative that we may consider selling projects and looking at those projects as projects where we'll keep a royalty, but we'll take that capital and contribute it back into our treasury. So we've got a number of different options. And with those projects, we've already identified that at least 4 could be drilled this year. Another number of projects could be drilled next year. And so my message there is that we have a significant pipeline of projects, which is the key to exploration success, that can be drilled not only in 2023, but in the years to come. The third pillar to our business is really the projects that are outside the Barrick Alliance, the 2 projects that Newmont supports. So Newmont has a right of first refusal to be the joint venture partner on 2 named projects that we have. We haven't invited them to be our joint venture partner yet, and we solely have advanced those projects with some great success. One is down on the southern island of Kyushu, and the one in Kyushu, we haven't done anything for the past year because that's where Barrick was very much active with their activity, and we felt it was better for them to evaluate that area rather than us to spend our dollars last year. So we focused all our activities on the northern project and drilling a number of prospects there. We've had excellent results in terms of drilling our prospects, and I'll show you a couple of slides in that regard. At the Rio prospect, we've drilled 20 holes in total. At the Catano prospect, we've now drilled 9 holes. And now at the new Seroma prospect, we've drilled 6 holes, and encountering high-grade gold. And at the Seroma prospect, gold grades, but also very high grades of silver as well. The work programs that we've designed for both the Ikutahara project in Hokkaido and the Oritakamine projects are well organized for us now, and we're considering our options going forward. Again, is it time for us to consider bringing in a joint venture partner, or is it the right time for us to consider moving ahead with these important prospects? Just to focus on the Ikutahara project that I mentioned, this slide is a complex slide because it shows geology. The deeper basement rocks are blue, the younger volcanic rocks are yellow, and the intermediate or rhyolites are the buff colors. But what I'm pointing out here is the red ovals are those prospect areas that we have advanced substantially. 3 of the 4 we've advanced substantially with drilling. And in addition to that, we've done very large soil sampling programs outside the primary drilling area, in the primary drilling areas where we're drilling under the old mines, but to look for those hidden parallel structures that are nearby, and we've had really good success. And so I'll show you some of those. So here's the Rio prospect. We've drilled 20 holes here. We've had intersections as significant as 8 grams over 20 meters, or pardon me, 6.3 grams over 20 meters. We've also had ultra-high grade at half a meter at over 1,300 grams. And we've had consistent hit and grades as we've gone through this mineralized corridor. We've also identified that it's open at depth and open along strike, and so that's been a very positive feature of our activities. We've done a large soil sampling program over the area, and you can see the 3 ovals off to the east or off to the right side of your screen. And those are 3 new areas that are ranging up to 1 kilometer long that look like they could be parallel structures. Moving to the southern end of the project, of the Ikutahara project, is the Seroma Valley. And the Seroma Valley is a valley that's in the basement already, and it has 3 mines that run right down the center of that valley. And that is along a 3.5 kilometer long zone. We've drilled under the first kilometer in the northeast under the Seroma mine, and that's where we've hit very high grades of silver as well as gold and multiple veins. We see that extending right through the 3.5 kilometer zone, and now we've projected it even further to go right down another 5 kilometers to the Jaman mine, or the Jaman workings, giving us an 8.5 kilometer long mineralized corridor there. So this is very exciting, and we look forward to further developments there. Again, we see that it's open at depth and open along strike, so this got enormous potential. Finally, the central part of the Ikutahara project, where we've drilled in the past, we've done a very large soil sampling program. We've now identified 3 different areas that are approximately 1.5 kilometers long, that are new regions for us to move in and prepare for drilling as well. So this is a really impressive project, the Ikutahara project. It does host 20 of the closed mines that were closed in 1943 and have never been reopened. So there's an incredible endowment in this region. Our shareholders, and we have a very unique shareholder structure for a $60 million junior exploration company, in that we have 10% held by Newmont, and if they drop below 10%, then they lose their right to the right of first refusal to those 2 projects. We then have over 55% of our company with some of the biggest institutions in the world that include BlackRock and RCF and Rothschilds. There's 10 institutions. And those institutions are there with a view that they would like to be our funding partners, that if we make it to the point where Barrick has completed a 75% bankable feasibility study and we need to come up with our 25% of the mine build, we can make a handful of phone calls and we'll have the financial support within our shareholder base to do that. We have a very diversified board of directors that includes the Canadian ambassador, the previous Canadian ambassador. It includes a very senior mining executive that's put 7 mines into production in 5 different countries. It includes the former head of global exploration for Sumitomo Metal Mining and the previous manager of the Hishikari Gold Mine and the chief geologist there. Includes Paul Harbidge, who was with Mark Bristow at Randgold and made a number of world-class discoveries in Africa, and then went on to lead Goldcorp's global exploration efforts and independently discovered that Japan was the right place to go, as well as a senior mining lawyer and our head of our audit committee. We have other key management members that have come from Sumitomo Corporation that run our office in Japan, as we have an office in Tokyo and we have a base in northern and southern Japan, as well as Barrick's former principal geologist in Africa and the Middle East that, with their permission, came over and joined us as our principal geologist. So to conclude, Japan Gold is a very unique company. We've been able to be the first mover into a geopolitically safe country. We've been able to acquire 32 projects and dominate all 5 major gold districts in the country. We brought in the largest gold miners in the world to de-risk our portfolio. We have one of the largest exploration portfolios of any junior company in the world, and that creates opportunities for our shareholders as we turn over these prospects and seek to make the new significant discoveries in the country. So thanks very much for listening today, and I'm happy to take any questions.